Show, a three-ring circus of entertainment starring Joe Cook, with music by Ernie Watson. Opera stars, baseball stars, stage stars, and many other stars, all seen through the telescope of that old stargazer himself, Joe Cook.
Thank you, Ben Grauer. Now, if you will just move in a little closer, everybody, I'd like to point out some of the brighter stars that are out tonight. You see that tall one? Well, that's the grand old man of baseball, Connie Mack of the Philadelphia Athletics. Glancing over the footlights, you'll notice two of the finest actors ever to grace a stage, Mr. Walter Hampton and Burt Lytell, who will be heard a little later in one of Victor Hugo's best works. Those two other stars that look as though they might be related are Louis D'Angelo, the Metropolitan's big bass singer, and Louise, his 17-year-old daughter, who wanted to sing bass like her father, but decided it would be more ladylike to sing soprano, which she does very beautifully. Then there's that country boy, Ruth Davis, who imitates just about everything but a groundhog eating crackers in bed. And that shooting star of the cinder track, Jesse Owens, to tell us about today's track meet. And there's the inventor of the electric guitar, Bert Lynn, with his latest invention, the Vibrolin. And, of course, another four-star attraction, the Shell Quartet, who put us in the mood with a medley of Rodgers and Hart tunes.
Thou swell, thou witty, thou sweet, thou grand, would kiss me pretty, would hold my hand, for thine eyes are cute to what they do to me. Hear me holler at you, this be Lollapalooza in the east. I feel so rich in the heart for two rooms and kitchen, I'm sure would do. Give me just a plot of not a lot of land. And thou swell, thou witty, thou grand, thou lovely one. I took one look at you, that's all I meant to do, and then my heart stood still. My feet could step and walk, my lips could move and talk, and yet my heart stood still. That day out in the mountain greenery, where God paints the scenery, just to raise these people together. While you love your lover, let blue skies be your cover. Let's bless our mountain greenery home. You'll find there's a small hotel with a wishing well. I wish that we were there together. Thank the small hotel together. It's gotta be love. It couldn't be done to light it. It feels like you're right, but nevertheless it's love. I'm sure that it's fatal, but why do I get that stinging feeling? I think that I'm dead, but nevertheless it's only love, only love. Poor Johnny one note sang out with gusto, and just overloaded the place. Poor Johnny one note yelled willy-nilly until he was blue in the face. For holding one note was his aim. Couldn't hear the brass, couldn't hear the drum. He was in a class by himself, by God. Sing Johnny one note, sing Johnny one note out loud.
anything about baseball, you read in the newspapers about Joe Hoositt, the veteran pitcher, and you figure Joe must be an old fellow with a beard who has to roll the ball up to the plate. Then you take a look at the records and find Joe is still in his 30s, and that's the way it goes. When a man stays in baseball for more than 10 years, they hang flags on him every Memorial Day. Tonight, I want you to meet a man who contradicts all this, the super veteran of the game, a man who was winning pennants before most of today's players were born. And here he is, Cornelius McGillicuddy, known to all baseball fans as the great Connie Mack. Connie, just to keep this thing straight, how long have you been active in baseball?
This is my 54th season. Joe?
54 years. Only a temporary job, huh? Well, I guess it must be your favorite game.
It's more than that. Baseball has been my whole life, and I wouldn't know what to do if I wasn't in the harness.
You look mighty young for a man who's been wearing harness all these years.
Thanks.
You must have started the game playing in rompers.
Thanks for the compliment, Joe. But I wasn't one of those infant prodigies. I was a raw rookie when I broke in. But I was wearing long pants.
Well, what were you in the beginning, Connie? A pitcher?
No, I was a catcher, but not a very good one. In 1895, I decided I'd rather be a manager. It's easier to tell the other fellow what to do.
Well, when did you win your first pennant, Connie?
In 1902.
And did you win the World Series that year?
There were no World Series at that time. The first World Series was in 1905 between the New York Giants and ourselves. They had a young Irishman for manager named John McGraw and a pitcher named Christy Matheson. The combination was too much for us, and we lost 4-1.
Well, when did you get another chance at John McGraw and those Giants?
Not until 1911, and then we turned the tables. We had taken the World Championship from the Chicago Cubs in 1910, and we repeated again against the Giants in 1911.
2 in succession. Well, as we say back home, you really took your World Series seriously, didn't you?
Yes, but we cooled off too soon. That was an odd thing, Joe. In 1912, I had what I still think was the best team I ever managed. Yet I lost the American League pennant that year and won the next year in 1913 with a team that was 20% less efficient. That spoiled my chances to win 4 pennants in a row.
Well, did any manager ever win 4 in a row?
Yes, John McGraw did, from 1921 through to 1924.
Well, I can see that John McGraw's path crossed yours many times.
I'd have missed a lot if our paths hadn't crossed, for he was a fine man. I met him first when he was playing third base for the famous Baltimore Orioles back in the 1890s. That was a great team, and he was the leading spirit behind it.
I've heard some tall tales about those Orioles. They must have been some birds.
I class them as one of the best teams in the history of baseball.
What about that team you had with the $1 million infield?
You're spending too much money, Joe. It was really called the $100,000 infield.
Well, I was only $900,000 off. Not bad for a fellow who still counts on his fingers.
That was a great team, all right. I had to break it up in 1915, and for a very strange reason. During the last years of our winning streak, attendance kept falling off. The fans just got tired of watching us win. I had to sell the boys because I couldn't afford to pay them what they were worth.
And you had to begin all over again.
Yes, I started building from the bottom, and I didn't win another pennant until 1929. Then I took 3 in a row.
I saw that team in action. Grove, Earnshaw, Fox, Dyke, Simmons. How long did you keep that outfit together?
I began to break them up in 1932. Once again, it was hard, but I had to do it. Every man was a star, and the budget of our club couldn't pay their salaries. And again, I had to start from scratch and build a complete new team.
And from the looks of things, you're on your way to the top again. So your Athletics have been playing a nice brand of ball this year.
I have some splendid youngsters on the team now. They're full of fight and full of promise, and I'm hoping for the best. Of course, the Yankees look strong for us this year, but there's always next year.
So how many pennants have you won altogether, Connie?
I have won 9, Joe. One more, and I would equal the record that John McGraw created. Under him, the Giants took 10 pennants in the National League.
Well, you've seen them all in your time, Connie. Would you name an all-time, all-star team for us?
I'd be glad to do it, Joe.
All right. Now, who would you put on first base?
George Sisler of the St. Louis Browns.
Second base?
Eddie Collins of my 1910 Athletics.
Shortstop?
Honus Wagner, the Flying Dutchman of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Third base?
Jimmy Collins of the Boston Red Sox.
What about your outfield?
There I'd place a combination unbeatable for power and skill. Babe Ruth, Ty Cobb, and Tris Speaker.
What would be the pitching staff on this all-time team?
2 right-handers, Christy Matheson and Walter Johnson, and 2 left-handers, Rube Ordell and Lefty Grove.
And who would be your catcher?
Another player who was once one of my boys. He's been making a game fight this week, not on the field, but in a hospital, and my prayers and the prayers of all Americans have been with him. For catcher, Mickey Cochran, manager of the Detroit Tigers.
We'll see him catch again, Connie. He has the strength and the courage to come back. By the way, who would you pick for the all-star manager?
There's only one possible choice, John McGraw.
I'm happy to hear you say that, Connie, and there's someone else here tonight who must be happy about it, too. And here she is, Mrs. John McGraw. Good evening, Mrs. McGraw. I suppose you and Mr. McGillicuddy have met before.
Yes, and he's not Mr. McGillicuddy to me. He's Connie Mack. It's good to see you again, Connie.
And it's good to see you, Blanche. I believe this is the first time since the All-Star game of 1933 out in Chicago.
Yes, it is. And I was rooting against you that day. Did you see that game, Mr. Cook?
No, I missed that one. But you know, John and I were good friends, and he told me all about it later, which was just as good as seeing it.
It was John's last year. He had retired, but they asked him to lead the National All-Stars. Connie Mack led the American League Stars. It was like old times again, watching them try to outguess each other.
John did a wonderful job that day. He directed every play, called for every pitch.
And yet we lost.
It was no fault of John's. Babe Ruth broke up that game with a home run, Joe. And no man could tell what the Babe would hit.
Yes, the Babe would hit almost anything but old ladies and little children.
Well, Joe, after the game, John said if he had to lose at all, he was glad it was to Connie.
Yes, John and I went through the wars together. We were always on opposite sides. Sometimes he won, sometimes I won. He liked to win, as any man should. He had a spirit that hated to accept defeat, but he always made it a clean, honest fight. He was a real sportsman and a credit to the game of baseball.
Thank you, Connie.
I spoke about John's record tonight, his 10 National League pennants. I'm still trying to equal it.
And I wish you luck, Connie. Of course, I would like to think John had left a record that would always stand, something for which he and no one else would be remembered. But, well, I wish you luck, sincerely.
That's because you're a sportsman, just as he was. Do you know one reason I'm so anxious to tie that record?
No, Connie, what is it?
Not just for the glory. I'd like to feel that in the future, people would think of us together. Think of us as one, John McGraw and Connie Mack. I'd like to think that we were in the same league.
It makes me proud to hear you say that, Connie. Thank you again.
And thank you both for coming here tonight.
Thank you, Joe.
Last week, an amazing thing happened in the little town of Owego, New York. On Main Street, business was going on as usual when suddenly...
Look out, that horse! He's running away!
Hey, catch that horse! Catch him, somebody!
Oh, he's going to hurt somebody. I just know he is.
Gee, you'll sue me down the crossing. Can't somebody... Well, can you beat that?
He stopped for the red light.
Yes, it actually happened. A runaway horse stopped of his own accord when the traffic lights changed from green to red. He stopped so suddenly, he sat right down on his haunches. Well, it's no wonder even horses become conscious of traffic lights. Because today, traffic lights seem to be on every corner, blinking red and green, stop and go all day long. That's one of the reasons why you average 30 stops in each day's driving. Yes, 30 stops and starts a day. And believe me, that can be mighty hard on your gasoline. Why, starting up after only 3 stops can waste enough gas to carry you a full mile. But now you can cut down this waste by using Super Shell gasoline. You see, Shell engineers have found a way to rearrange the chemical structure of gasoline. They actually balance it. Thus, Super Shell is made digestible for your motor at all times. Whether you're starting up or driving along, Super Shell delivers its power quickly and completely. It takes less gas to make all those starts and getaways, and so naturally, every tank full lasts longer. Get this saving. After this, use Super Shell.
From down in Mangum, Oklahoma, comes a husky young country lad named Ruth Davis. Well, he didn't come directly from Mangum, Oklahoma. He came by way of Hollywood. That's because of Ruth's peculiar genius for imitating things. Things like motorboats and bazookas. Ruth imitates them all with his mouth. No mechanical assistance whatsoever. Out there in Hollywood, he just finished a picture called Mountain Music. And here he comes with a guitar under his arm, Ruth Davis. Hi, Ruth.
Hi, Joe.
Ruth, what are you going to imitate first for us now?
Well, I'd like to give you an imitation of one of them outboard motorboats.
Oh, would you do that? Go ahead.
You know, a fella's sitting out there in this little old putt-putt, and he wraps a string around the crank on it and jerks it a couple of times, and finally he gets it started and gets out in the middle of the lake, and the doggone thing goes dead on it.
Uh-huh.
And he hadn't got his paddles with him. Here it is.
Yeah. Try again, Ruth. Well, we got to get this thing going now. Come on, boy. Let's get it going this time.
Try it one more time here.
Oh, now we're off. Boy, is this a nice ride? Boy, she's running pretty. Wait a minute. Ruth, would you mind opening your mouth wide?
Sure not. But why? Did you lose something?
No, I just want... I just want to make sure that you haven't got an outboard motor in there. No, you don't use anything mechanical to help you make your imitations, do you, Ruth?
No, nothing but my teeth, sir.
But they're not mechanical. Now, what would you rather do, Ruth? Imitate a cow or milk one?
Well, I'd rather imitate one.
Well, one good thing, you don't have to get up so early to imitate a cow. Well, go ahead, let's hear of it.
Moo! Moo!
What was your first imitation, Ruth?
A couple of cats fighting.
Can you still make them fight?
Oh, sure can, Joe. Listen to this.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Those felines really sound provoked. What started the fur flying?
Well, they're both making a pass at the same canary, and here's the canary.
Hey, what's the matter? What stopped the canary?
One of the cats just ate him.
Ruth, you know, you're just the fellow I've been looking for. I'm in a jam, and maybe you could help me out.
Well, glad to do it, Joe. What's the trouble?
Well, I've got a farm, and all I've been able to raise on it is a mortgage. Now, next week, that mortgage comes due, and I'd like to get it extended.
Could you talk to the man who holds the mortgage?
Oh, not a chance. He likes money, Ruth. Why, he's trying to get Congress to put a cow on a nickel instead of a buffalo so he can squeeze the nickel and get milk.
Gee, that's bad, you know.
But we might be able to fool him. Hey, can you imitate farm animals?
Joe, I was brought up with them things, you know. They're just like my own folks.
All right, now listen, here's what we'll do. I'll take you to my farm and hide you in the barn when the old man comes to collect. Then I'll give you a signal, and you start imitating farm animals.
What good do you reckon that'll do?
Well, when he hears all the livestock I've got, he'll think the farm is doing fine, and he'll extend the mortgage. What do you say, Ruth?
Well, it's a swell idea, Joe. Doggone, I didn't know that you was that smart.
Oh, I'm a slicker. Now, how about a little rehearsal?
Well, that suits me. What you want me to do?
Well, let's start with a horse. That ought to make a big impression on him.
Well, he goes,
Rube, if I didn't know better, I'd say you had your shoes put on by a blacksmith. Say, don't you think we need some pigs on the farm?
Oh, that's the easy order to fill.
Hey, Rube, how about giving me some ducks floating around in a pond?
Well, couldn't they just be on the ground?
Oh, no. The ducks must be in the water. I don't want any earthquakes on my farm.
All right, here's your duck. But don't blame me if his name turns out to be Donald.
Mm-hmm. Hey, listen, how about chickens? Or don't you believe in foul play?
Oh, I can do that. Listen.
Hey, wait a minute. Are you sure that was a chicken?
Well, Joe, I don't understand it. I opened up that chicken coop and out flew a mule. How do you reckon he got in there?
That's the first time that ever happened. Maybe my farm is getting too crowded.
Well, there's still room for a couple of alarm clocks with the feathers on them.
Hey, are there lady friends awake, too?
Yeah, they're stirring around here somewhere, like this.
Boy, one of those hens certainly made a lot of fuss.
Yeah, she was proud of herself, Joe. She just laid eggs.
All that for an egg? Why, back in Evansville, the mayor didn't make that much noise when he laid a cornerstone. Well, that ought to be enough livestock, unless you've got a suggestion.
Well, how about this one?
What was it, a cyclone?
No, that was a jackass, Joe. You want to keep him?
No, I don't need a jackass. I gave that imitation myself when I bought the farm. Well, you've been a big help, Ruth, and I appreciate it. Now, is there anything I can do for you?
Well, if it ain't asking too much, I'd like to sing you a little song.
Why, it's all right with me, Ruth, but why don't you take it up with the rest of the folks?
Folks, if you'll allow me, I'd like to sing you a little song called Mama Don't Allow No Music Played Around Here.
Well, do that,
Ruth. Now, Mama don't allow no music played around here. No, Mama don't allow no music played around here. Well, I don't care what Mama don't allow. I'm gonna play music anyhow. Now, Mama don't allow no music played around here. Now, Mama don't allow no juice harp played in here. Oh, no. Mama don't allow no juice harp played in here. Well, I don't care what Mama don't allow. I'm gonna do a juice harp anyhow. Now, Mama don't allow no juice harp played in here. Mama don't allow no bass filling in here. Mama don't allow no bass filling in here. Well, I don't care what Mama don't allow. I'm on the bass filling. Now, Mama don't allow no bass filling in here.
Slap it, Ruth.
Now, Mama don't allow no train whistling in here. Mama don't allow no train whistling in here. Well, I don't care what Mama don't allow. I'm gonna do a train whistle anyhow. Now, Mama don't allow no train whistling in here. Now, Mama don't allow no bazooka playing in here. Oh, no. Now, Mama don't allow no bazooka playing in here. Well, I don't care what Mama don't allow. I'm gonna do a bazooka anyhow. Now, Mama don't allow no bazooka playing in here.
Listen to this, Robin Burns.
Now, Mama don't allow no tap dancing in here. How am I gonna do it? Mama don't allow no tap dancing in here. Well, I don't care what Mama don't allow. I'm gonna do a tap dance anyhow. Now, Mama don't allow no tap dancing in here.
All of us like to see a father and daughter who are pals, interested in the same things and in each other. Such a combination is that of Louis D'Angelo, the eminent Metropolitan Opera basso, and a 17-year-old daughter, Louise, who sings a rare soprano. Her father taught her himself. And now let's see how Father made out. The D'Angelos sing a medley from The Merry Widow, Women by Mr. D'Angelo, and Villa by Louise. May I present father and daughter, bass and soprano, Louis and Louise D'Angelo.
As you can, but a woman's too much for a man. It is deeper than diving for pearls, courting girls, 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 girls. With her fair flaxen hair, eyes of blue, she's a long way to knowing for you. She is dark or she's fair, she may smile or may frown. Never mind, you will get dawn blown. But a woman's too much for a man. It is deeper than diving for pearls, courting girls, 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 girls.
She's a long way to knowing for you. She is dark, but she's fair. She may smile or may frown. Never mind, you will get on.
Women, 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 women.
Joe Cook's Shell Show continues in just a moment. WEAF, New York.
ICAAA put on quite a show in town today. Now, those letters, in case you thought I was stuttering, stand for the Intercollegiate Association of Amateur Athletes of America. A bunch of college boys who can jump like grasshoppers, run like scared rabbits, and throw a 10-pound shot twice as far as I could throw a golf ball. They were out after records this afternoon in their first annual track meet, and we had somebody right there to look 'em over and tell us what happened. He didn't miss a trick either, because he is probably the greatest track athlete this country ever produced. And here he is, the speed king of the Cinder Path, the fastest human, Jesse Owens. Well, Jesse, did you get an eyeful of athletic activity this afternoon?
It was a great beat, Mr. Cook. One of the best I've seen this year.
We want all the details, Jesse, but before you tell us what the other boys did, I want you to tell us a few things about yourself. When did you run your first race in competition?
When I was 14 years old, I was on the track team, Fairmount Junior High School in Cleveland.
And did you win your first time out?
Well, no. I dropped that one, but the coach just patted me on the back and told me not to worry, so I kept on trying.
Did you pile up a good record in spite of that bad start?
Yes, it was the last race I lost while I was in junior high school.
Well, that's what I call a noble comeback. What started you off as a runner, Jesse? Did you want to be sure you'd be the first kid home from school?
Oh, I just took to it naturally, Mr. Cook. I knew my long legs ought to be good for something.
Well, they were good enough to get you the 100-yard dash record.
Yes, I hold it jointly with two other men, Ralph Metcalf and Frank Wyckoff, at 9 and 4/10 seconds.
What records do you hold by yourself?
Well, I hold the 220-yard dash, the indoor and outdoor broad jump, the 60-yard dash, the 50-yard dash, the 220 low hurdles, the 200-meter dash, and the 200-yard low hurdles.
Boy, I certainly asked for it, and I got it. How many records is that?
8 in all.
And all for one man?
But one man doesn't get all the credit. Two other men has a lot to do with it.
Who were they?
Well, the first one was Charles Riley in Cleveland, my junior high school coach, and my last was Larry Snyder, my coach at Ohio State University. Without them, I could have never done too well.
How many gold medals did you win in the last Olympic Games, Jesse?
4, Joe. I took first place in the 100 meters, the 200 meters, the broad jump, and I was also a member of the winning American relay team.
What was the biggest thrill you ever got at a track meet?
The biggest thrill that I ever got at a track meet was at the Berlin Olympic Games. And it certainly was a thrill. There, a minute in my life that I'll never forget. That was the minute when I stood before the crowd in Olympic Stadium to receive my first medal. More than 100,000 people were watching, and everything was so quiet you could hardly believe it. As I stepped forward, the band started to play the Star-Spangled Banner. I was mighty proud to hear that music. The flag of all the nations was flying, and an American flag was being raised on the pole in the center of the stadium. I looked at it, and as that flag rose, my heart rose with it. I knew the folks back home would be glad.
Did anyone else ever win 4 Olympic medals?
Yes, one other man in the modern Olympics, and that man was Tavy Nurmi, the Finnish distance runner.
It'll be a long time before that happens again.
It may not be so long. New track and field records are being made every year.
Tell me about that, Jesse. How do they do it? Men set marvelous records, but there always seems to be somebody just a little bit better.
That's because tracks have improved faster than any other sport and still improving. When a man made a record in the old days, he made it the hard way and didn't get the proper training.
What are the modern training methods?
Well, a coach sees a boy who has promise in high school or even in grammar school. He develops that boy, brings him along slowly, teaches him all the finer points. And in college, he gets the same treatment. A track athlete gets every chance to show just how far he can go. Once a track man just got out and ran. Now he does it scientifically.
What about the tracks they run on? Have they improved, too?
Oh, yes, very much. They're faster, more solidly built, and other new developments are important, too. The clothes worn by the runners are practically streamlined to cut down wind resistance. The spikes on the track shoes are set to gain that last fractional second of speed. Track is still going ahead, Joe, and that's why records are falling.
And that brings us back to the IC4A track meet at Randall's Island this afternoon. Did any records fall there?
Only one this afternoon. Hucker of Cornell University broke the intercollegiate record for the 220 low hurdles. The previous best time in that time was made in 1898 at 24 seconds, and Hucker went over the timbers in 23 and 2/10 seconds.
Was that the outstanding performance of the day?
No, the outstanding performance was turned in by Ben Johnson, Columbia University's great colored track star. Ben accomplished something that isn't seen very often. He made a triple. That is, he took first place in 3 events.
Hey, that's really tearing up the track. Which events did he win?
Well, he won the 100-yard dash in 9 8/10 seconds, the 220-yard dash in 21 2/10 seconds, and the broad jump with a distance of 23 feet 6 1/2 inches.
Looks like a rival for you, Jesse. Those are the events you specialize in.
Yes, Ben is creeping up on me. In the future, he may shade my record. If he does, I hope I can be the first to shake his hand. Ben is a fine boy, a splendid athlete, and a credit to our race, and also a fraternity brother of mine.
Jesse, did you know I was quite a speed artist back in my high school days?
Oh, I didn't know you were a track man.
You didn't? Why, I was known as the Evansville Flash. And sometimes as the Evansville Flash in the Pan. I'll never forget the day when our track team was having to meet with the boys from Rockport. We didn't have a track of our own, so we used the railroad track that ran through the center of town.
What race did you run?
Oh, I was running the mile that day. I'd been anchor man on the relay team before, but I got tired of carrying that anchor around. It was even heavier than a bass fiddle, and I couldn't get a tune out of it. Of course, some people claim I never got a tune out of a bass fiddle. Well, it was time for the mile race to begin. I took my place, and 2 people were cheering in the stand.
Only 2 people in the stand?
No, a lot of other people were there, but my mother and father were cheering. I was the only boy for Evansville in that event. There were 50 other boys on the team, but they all ran in the 50-yard dash. Each man ran a yard, and we never lost a race. Well, sir, the starter fired his gun and brought down a duck. Feathers were falling fast as I fought my way into the lead. I dashed down the track, whistling 3 times at every crossing.
Come on, Joe.
I was way ahead of the field when I saw a pretty girl standing beside the track. She said, "Hello, what's your hurry?" And I said, "I'm not sure. Let's talk it over." So she sat down, and I sat on her lap. That was tragedy, Jesse. My coach always said, "Remember, it's the first lap that counts." Well, we stayed there for about an hour, and she said she would go to a strawberry festival with me next week if I promised not to get raced. And that's how I won the mile race for Evansville High School.
But didn't the Bridgeport boys finish ahead of you?
Yeah, now you're getting technical, Jesse. They finished first, but I won the girl, and the judges decided that a miss was as good as a mile.
You know, Joe, you're a mighty fast man with words.
Well, you know the Chinese say that a picture is worth 1,000 words. And when you streak down that straightaway, that's a picture no words can describe.
Thank you, Mr. Cook.
All right, Jesse, on your mark, get set, go.
Good night.
It's the same story at all the automobile factories. Capacity production. Cadillac LaSalle. First reports for May show
records being broken. Sales up 64% over same period last year.
Studebaker.
Sales 21% better than for same period last year.
Lincoln Zephyr.
Almost 50% greater output to date than entire 1936 season.
Packard.
April deliveries more than doubled last year's, breaking all records for entire history.
Yes, auto plants everywhere are being hard-pressed to fill orders. And a lot more new cars are being put on the road than old cars are being junked. This means more cars to jam the highway. And already 4 out of every 5 miles you drive are stop and go. Now, all this stopping and starting is very wasteful of gasoline. Or you can actually waste enough starting up after one stop to carry you 5 city blocks. But now you can check this waste by using Super Shell. A special process actually rearranges the chemical structure of this gasoline. As a result, Super Shell is balanced, made digestible for your motor at all engine speeds. So whether you're starting, accelerating, or sailing along, your engine can turn the tremendous energy in Super Shell into usable power. There's less waste, and so, of course, you get better mileage. Try using this gasoline that's specially suited for today's stop-and-go driving. You'll find you don't have to fill up the tank quite so often when you get Super Shell.
Now, don't be alarmed. That sound you hear is not the wind whistling through the keyhole, but some tones whistling through a vibrolin. Maybe you don't know what a vibrolin is. Well, it's a second cousin, twice removed and pearl inlaid to a steel guitar with a lot of electrical gadgets hooked onto it. Bert Lynn, the inventor of the electric guitar, invented this vibrolin, and he's going to play it for the first time on the radio. Bert plays the Memorial Day medley of My Buddy and Lights Out. Listen for the machine guns, the air raids, and the crashing planes, all described in Vibrolin music. Bert Lynn and his Vibrolin. That was doggone good, Bert. Certainly takes me back to 1918, but the Vibrolin sounds more Hawaiian-like than warlike. So suppose you strum out a little Honolulu hotcha like Blue Hawaii.
Okay, Joe.
There it goes. I guess everybody that has ever studied French has had to translate Victor Hugo's Les Miserables. Even with all the trouble it takes to translate it, it still stands out as a great novel. Tonight, we're going to hear the most famous part of that story, The Bishop's Candlestick, with two of America's favorite stars, Walter Hampton as the Bishop and Bert Lytell as Jean Valjean. Walter Hampton and Bert Lytell in The Bishop's Candlestick.
December night in France in 1815. But a warm fire burns cheerily on the open hearth in the kitchen of Monsignor Muriel, Bishop of Dijon. Flickering shadows play across the kindly face of the old bishop as he sits gazing quietly into the flames. His sister, Baptistine, berates him while she puts away the supper dishes.
How we ever get along is beyond me. Brother, I do wish you'd listen to me.
What is it, Baptistine?
I just found out today what became of our silver salt cellars.
Oh, the salt cellars. It was a pity we had to sell them.
We had to sell them. You took them and sold them behind my back.
But I needed the money, my dear sister, to pay the rent on poor Mère Gringoire's little cottage. The bailiff was going to turn her out. So, you see, I had to pay for it.
You had to pay it, huh?
Yes, I had no money, so I had to dispose of the salt cellars. It was fortunate I had them, wasn't it?
Yes, very fortunate. Well, soon we'll have nothing left. You sell your silver candlesticks next.
Oh, no, sister, not my candlesticks.
Oh? Why not? They pay somebody's rent.
No. Mother gave them to me on her deathbed. They're all I have to remember her by.
No, dear brother. I'm sorry I was so sharp. We don't need silver salt cellars, do we? The china ones will do just as well.
Of course. I knew you would understand, my dear.
Oh, such a man. Here, kiss me and give me your blessing. I'm going to bed.
Yes, my dear. Good night.
Now, don't you sit up too long reading and tire your eyes.
Oh, no, dear. Good night.
Good night.
Don't make a sound or you're a dead man.
Who are you?
Never mind that. I want food. I'm starving. I haven't eaten in 3 days. Get me food quickly.
Certainly, my son. There is some cold meat and bread in the cupboard behind you.
Well, get it and put it on the table. And don't make a false move, or as sure as there's devils in hell, I'll drive my knife through your heart.
Of course, I'll get you the food. But you don't have to threaten me. We're alone here. There's only my sister sleeping upstairs.
How do I know that?
I have told you.
Well, I'll risk it. Put the food on the table.
Yes. Here it is. Now, may I sit down with you?
Sit down. Yes, go ahead. Sit down. I don't mind. Who the devil are you?
I'm a bishop.
A bishop? No. Holy Virgin, that I should meet a bishop. You know what I am?
Yes. A poor traveler through life who has suffered.
Suffered, yes. That was a long time ago. Before I was a prison number. Number 15729. I've lived through hell for 10 years.
Hell? Tell me about it. About hell.
Why? Do you want to tell the police to set them on my track?
No. I will not tell the police.
I believe you. I believe you. I'm hanged if I know why.
Well, now, tell me about the time before you went to hell.
Oh, it's so long ago I'd almost forgotten. I had a little cottage with vines growing over it and a girl, my wife. She was sick and starving. I had to get her food, so I stole, and they caught me. I pleaded with them, but they just laughed at me. I was sentenced to 10 years in the prison hulks.
And your wife, what became of her?
Dead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Now, tell me about the prison ship.
Tell you about it? Look at me. I was a citizen once. Now, I'm a beast. They made me like this. They chained me up like a wild animal and beat me like a hound. I was fed on filth, covered with vermin, a plank to sleep on. The whip for doing nothing, even when I was sick in bed. For 10 years. 10 long years. They took away my name, and they took away my soul. And they put a devil in its place. But one day they were careless. One day they forgot to chain up their wild beast, and he escaped. I was free. That was 6 weeks ago. I was free. Free to starve.
To starve?
Yes, to starve. They feed you in hell, but when you escape, you starve. They hunted me everywhere. I had no passport, no name, so I stole again. I stole my food. I slept in barns, woods, anywhere. I dare not ask for work. I dare not go to town to beg. I live like a hunted animal, and they've made me that.
My son, there is still hope.
Hope?
Yes.
Hope.
You have walked far. You are tired. Now lie down and sleep on the couch here.
I haven't slept for 2 days. But if anyone comes...
You are safe. This is the bishop's house.
So, where did you get those candlesticks?
I'm very proud of them. They were a gift from my mother.
Real silver?
Yes, a little handsome for this humble cottage, perhaps. But they're all I have to remind me of her.
Heavy, too. I'll warrant they'll bring more than 100 francs apiece.
Perhaps. But now, won't you lie down?
Yes, I'll lie down. Why the devil are you so kind to me? I told you what I am, and you're still kind to me.
You don't have to tell me who you are. This is not my house, but the house of Christ. This door doesn't ask a man whether he has a name, but if he has a sorrow. You're suffering. You are hungry and thirsty. And so, be welcome. You don't have to tell me your name, for I knew it as soon as you entered the door.
You knew my name?
Yes. You are my brother.
Brother?
Yes. Now, good night, brother. And sleep well.
Good night. Brother. The bishop's brother. That's a good one. Me, the bishop's brother.
Wake up, brother. Brother, wake up, wake up.
What is it, Baptistine? What is it?
Your candlesticks, they're gone.
My candlestick.
I heard the door slam, and then footsteps on the path. I came downstairs and saw they were missing. Someone has stolen them.
It can't be. He wouldn't take them.
He? Who is he?
Why, a poor traveler who came during the night. A poor man whom I fed.
A traveler? You let a thief in and he took the candlestick. Oh, why didn't I? I'm going to inform the police. He can't have gotten far.
No, Baptistine, wait. It was my fault.
Your fault that he stole the candlestick?
Yes, I led him into temptation.
Temptation? Oh, he's probably a scoundrel who played on your sympathy. I'm going to call the police.
No, Baptistine, I can't let them send him back to prison.
You mean you will sit here calmly and let yourself be robbed?
Yes. Who is there?
The police, Monseigneur. May we enter?
Oh, yes. Come in.
Look, brother, they've caught him, and thank heaven they've got the candlestick.
Yes, we found the scoundrel slinking along the road, and under his coat were these candlesticks. I knew they belonged to Monseigneur, the bishop, so we brought him directly here.
But I don't understand. There must be some mistake.
Mistake?
Yes, this man is my very good friend.
Your friend, Monseigneur?
Yes, I gave him the candlestick.
Oh, that's not the truth.
Now, please, Baptistine, you had better go to your room.
Well, but
Now, you will catch cold down here in your nightdress.
But I want him to know.
Yes, but please, sister, go to your room.
Very well, brother.
Is it really true that you gave this man your candlesticks?
Yes, officer. And now I think you can let your prisoner go.
But he won't show me his papers. He won't tell me who he is.
I've told you that he is my friend.
Yes, that's all very well, but...
He is your bishop's friend. Surely that is enough.
Well, but...
Surely.
Yes, Monseigneur.
Thank you. Good night, officer.
Good night, Monseigneur.
You saved me from the police.
Yes.
From prison. But why? I stole. I stole from you.
Yes, you did steal, but you will not steal again.
Not steal again.
No. Here, take these candlesticks. They are yours. For the paltry silver in them, I've bought your soul of you.
You bought my soul. I don't understand.
You will, for I cleanse it of evil and give it to God.
And you want me to have these candlesticks?
Yes, my brother. Now go and sin no more.
You give me the candlesticks. Give them to me, and I would have stolen from you. You, the only person in 10 years who has been kind to me, treated me like a human being, like a man.
You are a man, my son, formed in the image of God.
The image of God. I was a beast, but now, Father, you saved me. You've done it. You've saved me. Your blessing, Father. Give me your blessing.
The Lord be praised. I bless thee, my son, in nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen.
In the state of Minnesota, there's now a traffic law against driving too slowly. So it's possible to be arrested and fined for driving that is too slow as well as for driving that is too fast. For instance, you might...
Pull over, madam.
Me, officer? Well, I haven't done anything.
Pull over and I'll show you what you've done.
Well, I can't imagine.
Now, madam, look back there down the road. You see all those cars?
Why, yes, I just see a lot of automobiles.
You caused this traffic tie-up by your slow driving. Those cars couldn't get past you on this narrow road.
Oh, I'm sorry, but officer, it isn't against the law to drive slow, is it?
Yes, madam, it is in Minnesota. There's a new traffic code against unreasonably slow driving.
This Minnesota law against unreasonably slow driving is another effort to relieve the traffic congestion you find everywhere nowadays. 4 out of every 5 miles you drive are stop and go. You're shifting gears a big share of the time. Now, all this starting and accelerating fairly gobbles up your gasoline. Why, on a single getaway, you can waste enough gas to take you a third of a mile. What you need is Super Shell. This gasoline is made by a special process that actually rearranges the chemical structure of gasoline. It makes Super Shell balanced, or in the terms of automotive engineers, it's motor digestible. And so at all times, your engine can get the full good out of Super Shell when you're starting, accelerating, or driving steadily. There's less waste on all that stop-and-go driving, and so, of course, every tankful lasts a bit longer. But see for yourself. Try using Super Shell. You'll find there's a Shell dealer in your neighborhood. Joe Cook has planned another merry gathering of talented and interesting people for next week's Shell Show. Among the many guests, Joe will present Mrs. Martin Johnson and Louise Massey and her Westerners. Oh, we wish to revise a statement made through oversight earlier in this program that the first World Series game was played in 1905. The first new model World Series game was played in 1903 between the Philadelphia Nationals and the Boston Americans.
And this is Joe Cook saying goodnight and thinking what a better Memorial Day tomorrow would be if everybody wore a poppy on their shoulder instead of a chip. Good night.
This is the National Broadcasting Company.
WEAF, New York.